Hey guys, welcome to Sippin Spillin with Syd from 3 Mississippi. How are you doing? It's a lovely day today. It wasn't supposed to be. It's hot. It's warm. It's warm, but it feels good. Uh, except for the fact that the upstairs air conditioner seems to be not 100% happy. So I turned it off. I told Mike, I was like, I need you to come look at it. I think I know what's wrong with it. Well, potentially. Um, but I don't know. So knock it off. So my dog's down here licking my leg. Creepy. Um, but we had a lovely weekend. We were supposed to have thunder and lightning and awful storms, and we were blessed with picture perfect weather for Mike's baptism on Sunday. And Tim from Ridge Life came down. In fact, we actually did a Lessons from the Ridge live here on Sunday evening with him. And unfortunately, Frankie and Mike sang a song that they had been practicing together called That's Where I Found God. But they didn't write it or anything. It's like a song, you know. But Tim forgot he has like a thing on his computer that bleats out music, like softens it. So it was drowning out the guitar, and then you could hear Mike singing mostly, but then it cut Frankie's voice out altogether singing. So unfortunately, that did not happen. But that was a bummer. And then Frankie and 3 of her friends from church, they sang a lovely trio. Each one of them had a little solo in the song, and they sang at church this weekend, so that was wonderful. And we just had a wonderful full busy day on Sunday with between church and Sunday lunch and the baptism and doing the lessons from the ridge, and so it was a full day. And then I realized normally after Sunday lunch I film Sippin' and Spillin' for Monday, and I realized this morning that I was like, oh, I never filmed that because we were just go 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 go. So and then I had to take, as soon as lessons from the ridge was over, I had to take Frankie to youth group, and then so we didn't get home until like 7:30, almost 8 o'clock, and it had been a long day, and I was just kind of like, meh. So, but yeah, it was a wonderful weekend, and we were very blessed to not have lightning while Mike was trying to get baptized, because we was supposed to. And in fact, later that evening, probably about 8 o'clock, it was shortly after I got home from picking up Frankie, that we started having lightning and thunder, and we got a little bit of rain, but definitely a little bit of a light show in the sky. So I was very thankful that that didn't happen during the afternoon, because it's one thing if it's raining and you're going out into the pond to get baptized, but it's a whole nother thing if there's lightning striking all around you. It's not the smartest move to jump in a body of water, God gave us common sense for a reason. so, um, so we were very lucky that all worked out the way that it did. And this week we're supposed to have kind of rain showers, thunderstorms off and on all week. And in between all that, Mike's actually out here. You might see him pop by at some point. I don't know. He's mowing part of the front yard here right now because it's about due again. And since we're supposed to get rain, I think he wanted to at least get the front little section. We call this the park, because it's kind of where when you guys see us doing lives with the grass and the trees and the big pine tree behind us off in the back of the porch, that's what we're looking at, and we call that the park, because that's what it reminds us of. Very creative name, I know. The creek I do call the fire swamp, though, like from The Princess Bride, because that's what it reminds me of, all the gnarled trees and the weird vines and rodents of unusual size. So that's why I call it the fire swamp. But anyway, so he's working on that, and we've got 50 meat chickens, guys. 50 meat chickens that are about ready to go into the chicken tractor and go live their best life eating pasture. And so the nice thing about doing that, it's twofold, threefold, fourfold, I suppose, is obviously you're cutting down on your feed bill. You're letting them eat the pasture. So they're eating the bugs and the grass and the weeds and the whatever, so their meat is getting different and better vitamins. because they're getting some of that nature. That's number one. Number two is as long as you provided that you move them every day or every other day, depending on the size of your tractor and the amount of chickens and all of that. Um, you're letting that area get fertilized in your pasture, and then you're able to move them to the next section so you're not burning the land. And you can kind of just keep moving them down the area until it's time to process them. And so they kind of mow down the grass for you. And they are then fertilizing the land as you're moving them. And because they're, uh, meat chickens are not, they're not good at evading predators. If you ever seen a Cornish cross chicken, there's the traditional chickens that you would buy, processed out at the store. That's generally what you're buying when you buy, chicken at the store. They are little dinosaurs. They are thick and they waddle and they are just, they're weird little science fiction looking things when they get bigger. And I have free range some with my laying hens in the past. There's been a handful that I like held over that actually did end up living a few years before we then processed them. And there was nothing wrong with their meat. They were totally fine. I attribute it to, you'll hear a lot of people say like, oh, you have to butcher them at 8 weeks or at 12 weeks because any farther than that and their hearts explode. Yes, that can be true. If you're keeping them in a confined area where they've never gotten any exercise and they're not able to kind of forage and do and kind of act like normal chickens, they are more likely to just kind of eat and stand in one place, not have any exercise. Their legs will break and give out and they'll get too heavy. So yes, that is definitely a thing. Like, it's not made up. But and they're not very heat tolerant. So once your weather starts to get too hot, they don't do very well. In fact, we had one year, I had some chickens that it was like a Thursday or a Friday, and we were literally going to be processing the rest of the chickens on that Saturday. And we hit record temperatures of like 115 degrees or something like that. And I lost like 13 of the birds that were like this close to being butchered in like another 24 to 48 hours, and it was like butchering day. So that was just devastating because you go through all these weeks of, getting these birds ready and then right at the end. So, but these couple that were like holdovers, I just kind of threw them out with the chickens, and then we ended up processing them kind of late one day just because we were like, let's see if my theory works and see if the meat's okay. And it was fine. So that's been the difference I've noticed, because I have done that a couple times now where I've let them hold over through the season, and provided that they don't get too hot, they seem to do okay. But I mean, I don't recommend keeping them. They're not going to be breeders. They're not. I did get eggs from some of them. Did lay eggs, but they're not going to be good breeders. They're not. That's a whole different conversation for another thing. But yeah, I need to get these guys out on pasture to help regenerate that soil out there and get them off of a little bit less of my feed bill. And they'll be nice and protected in this chicken tractor. If you've never seen a chicken tractor before, we've actually done a few videos on previous chicken tractors that we've made. We've made 2 other designs before. The design we're doing now is very similar to the second design we did, which is more of a hoop design that you can walk into. The first one we did was sort of like a bend over and lift up the latch. And it got to the point where when it was like processing day of it, now Frankie was little, mind you, she was like 5, 6 years old. We could just say, Frankie, get in there, and she could crawl around in there and grab the chickens. Well, when she got too big to do that, we had to build a new chicken tractor because we were like, we can't get in there and she can't get in there anymore. And, when you get down to the last few, even your rooster stick is not, you're just chasing them in there, and you're bent in a weird angle, and everybody was throwing their backs out and cussing a blue streak, and it just was not pleasant. So we were like, this is a bad design for what we're doing now. This would be great for rabbits. This would be great for a lot of things, but this is not what we want right now. So anyway, so we're doing something similar to that with the hoop design, and it's going to have some wheels so we can pull it and move it every day accordingly so that they're on fresh greens every day. which will be exciting. It'll be nice to, number one, get them out of the brooder, because if you've ever raised meat chickens before, they are stinky, messy, always hungry, always thirsty birds, and they're annoying, but I love them. They're delicious when raised properly. So yeah, so got to get those guys out there. Hopefully by the end of this week. I would love for it to have been today, but that didn't happen. Mike really wanted to focus on getting the rest of his plants in the garden, which he did. As far as I know, he got the rest of them in the garden. I think there's maybe like, maybe 10 more or something that he hadn't put yet. But I think he got the rest of the ones that he had started from seeds that like needed to go in. So that was big for him. That was huge. So now I just have to nag him about getting the chicken tractor done so I can get those birds out of there. And then of course I've got my laying hens that I am growing out that are probably they're about 2 weeks old now. So very much still in the brooder, still living their life in there, but doing well. And won't be too much longer. You blink over the summer and they're like big and ready and off heat and ready to go outside. And so they'll be there soon enough, which I'm excited about, because this first year, that's probably going to be the last batch of chickens of any kind that I brood this year. Never say never, though. I do have some ducklings coming the beginning of June. They were actually supposed to be coming this week, but I pushed them out another week because I saw the writing on the wall. And I was like, I don't see things going according to plan. And if I get my ducklings come on time, then we are going to be struggle busing. And I just was like, I can't deal with that. We got the meetup in about another, I think it's like a week and a half. And we leave for the meetup. Can you believe that? It snuck up on me. So I need to, excuse me, need to make sure I have all my ducks in a row, so to speak. For our friend's son that's house sitting and mostly animal sitting. The house can sit by itself. I'm not so worried about the house. It's the animals that come along with the house that have to be sat on, I guess. So I got to kind of make sure everything's in a row. And I was like, you know what? Does he really need one more thing in a brooder to take care of, along with the chicken tractor and the this and the that and all this that's going on? I'm like, you know what? Let's cut our losses. Let's push them out another month. It's going to be a little bit hotter than I would like for them to be starting. But ducklings, they grow so darn fast. After about 2 weeks, they're feathered out enough. They don't usually need to be on heat this time of year anyway. They're, any waterfowl is really easy. They grow so much faster, and you don't have to brood them for as long. It's a little bit easier. So I was like, you know what? I'll just push them out a month. No big deal. That's really, in the scheme of things, as far as getting duck eggs and all of that, it's not really upsetting the apple cart by much. So we'll just push it out and just take a little bit of stress away from everybody. So it buys us a little bit of time, with kind of finishing some things on the coop, because we still have the second half of the coop to finish. Having to start over on the garden really did kind of bump back everything a little bit, because the chicken tractor was supposed to be done by this week, and I wanted it done a week ahead just so I knew it was done. But when the garden had to be moved and redone, and we had a couple little hiccups and setbacks in that nature, it just kind of changed things a little bit. So, which is fine. It happens. You just got to roll with the punches, So that was one of the reasons too why I was like, we'll just wait on the ducks. Like, we'll just give it a minute. So, and we're so excited because, with 10 Killer coming up, not only are we going to get to see so many of our YouTuber friends that we've, that I've met before. Mike has only really met, Mike from Drifting Dreamers. I keep doing it. So bad. And then Tim and David. So everybody else, and he's met Auntie Ann and Chrissy and Jeremy from Paragon Ridge. But everybody else, he's going to be meeting for the first time. And that'll be exciting to kind of meet everybody. And then I know that there's some people that maybe have newer channels that have been following some of the other channels for a while that are going. That'll be fun to meet. And so I'm excited. It's always, all the meetups are always really good energy, really good people. You always learn a lot, whether it's about things having to do with um, actual YouTubing. Sometimes not so much. Sometimes it's more of a discussion of like what you're building, what you're growing, how you're doing it. Um, because it is impossible. It's impossible to keep up on everybody's channels, every video 24/7 with all your YouTube friends. It's impossible. You try to watch, you know, enough so that you know what's going on with everybody. But sometimes it's hard. It's really hard because you're also trying to do and create your own content. So sometimes, like even when Tim was here the other day, he mentioned something and I was like, what? I didn't know about that. And I was like, oh, I'm behind on videos. But then there was something else that he had texted us about that he was doing a video on that I was like, oh yeah, you texted us that. I haven't watched the video, but I remember you telling us that. So it's just hard to keep up on everything. And so that's why I never assume that any of our friends, whether they be YouTube friends or regular friends in life, I never assume that they watch all of our videos every time, which is probably bad business. But I never assume that because I know how it is being on the other side of it. It's really hard to keep up with everybody's videos. And, some videos are more like this, where it's a talking video and you don't really have to be watching it. And they might be explaining something or talking about something. And some videos are more, action sequences of things being built and whatever, where there's not a lot of talking and, just maybe pretty music or something. And those you really have to watch to see what's going on. Otherwise, you let the whole video play and you still have no idea what was going on if you were playing it while you were cooking dinner or something, right? So I kind of, sometimes it's like, well, what am I doing? Can I listen to this one right now? Okay, yeah, I can watch a ramblings right now with Tim because I'm in here cooking dinner. Or, oh, I can't watch this new one from SLR right now because I gotta finish making this and I have to look at what I'm doing, and that one is not going to be a talking video. That's going to be a doing video, and I need to be able to watch it. So, you know, sometimes it's just hard to keep up with everybody all at once, but we do our best. We all do our best to try to keep up with our friends and our family here on YouTube, but sometimes that gets challenging, I suppose. Bless you. The dog just sneezed rather aggressively. Anyway, guys, I think Mike just came in from mowing the yard, and I gotta go check on dinner because I'm crock potting some chicken. Frankie's gonna be excited. She likes when I do my Indian style chicken. It's like not vindaloo, not masala. I forget what it is. I think it might be masala. I don't know what it is. I don't know. But she likes it, and she'll be happy because she's been nagging me to make it for a while. So it's in there. All right, guys. I hope you have a blessed rest of your day, and we'll see you